The American constitutional system contains a decentralized mechanism that enables grave offenses to be addressed at the level where their human consequences manifest most clearly. In the framework designating COVID policies as generating the imprescriptible offenses of COVID treason, COVID murder, and COVID child abuse, this local pathway provides a direct and legitimate route to justice for high-level figures such as Dr. Anthony Fauci. A single documented victim within a county, particularly a child who suffered death, permanent disability, or severe injury following enforcement of a vaccine mandate or coercive protocol, establishes the territorial nexus required for a county court to assert authority. This victim-centered approach transforms abstract national policy decisions into specific criminal acts with local effects, enabling law enforcement officers and county judges to initiate proceedings grounded in tangible harm rather than distant authority. The extensive public record of Dr. Fauci's statements, guidance, testimony, and coordination supplies the evidentiary bridge connecting his actions to the local crime. This pathway directly confronts the accumulated legal architecture of immunities and protections that shielded the implementation of the response. The PrEP Act, emergency powers declarations, qualified immunity, sovereign immunity, and related judicial precedents are examined not as absolute barriers but as instruments of the pre-planned criminal enterprise itself. When local prosecution anchors its case in the suffering of a specific child within the jurisdiction, it forces the legal system to determine whether these immunities can lawfully protect malum in esse offenses of radical evil. The imprescriptible character of COVID treason, COVID murder, and COVID child abuse removes any statute of limitations barrier, ensuring that accountability remains available regardless of elapsed time. The process upholds the principle that no layer of bureaucratic paper or emergency declaration can place individuals, including Dr. Fauci, above fundamental prohibitions against murder and child abuse. The local jurisdictional route demonstrates the enduring vitality of decentralized constitutional governance. It does not require centralized federal approval to commence. A single law enforcement officer compiling evidence of local harm, combined with the self-evident public record of Dr. Fauci's national involvement, can present a compelling affidavit to a county judge. This mechanism generates multiple independent pressure points across the nation, each rooted in the lived experience of specific communities. By challenging the validity of prepositioned immunities through concrete cases involving Dr. Fauci, the framework pierces the legal architecture designed to enable and protect the crimes, creating systematic avenues for accountability at every level of the coercion hierarchy. The local victim as jurisdictional anchor in the case against Dr. Fauci. The presence of a documented local victim supplies the essential territorial foundation that empowers a county court to adjudicate Dr. Fauci's conduct. When a child within the jurisdiction dies or suffers catastrophic harm following a mandated vaccine or coercive protocol shaped by national guidance in which Dr. Fauci played a central role, the offense acquires a concrete local dimension. Law enforcement officers assemble medical records, autopsy reports, vaccination documentation, and evidence of local enforcement mechanisms. This factual foundation establishes that the harm occurred inside the county, satisfying traditional jurisdictional requirements for criminal prosecution. The public record of Dr. Fauci's statements, congressional testimony, official guidance, and institutional coordination then demonstrates how his actions contributed to the specific local result. The investigating officer prepares a comprehensive sworn affidavit that integrates the local harm with the broader evidentiary chain. The affidavit applies the event-specific framework, arguing that Dr. Fauci's public promotion of mandates, suppression of dissenting science, and coordination of institutional policies meet the elements of state crimes such as reckless homicide, child endangerment, and official misconduct. These acts are framed within the designations of COVID murder and COVID child abuse as imprescriptible malum in esse offenses. The pre-planned expansion and exploitation of immunities is presented as an aggravating element that demonstrates conscious design. Because the harm is local and the supporting evidence is drawn from the open public record, the affidavit satisfies probable cause standards without reliance on contested testimony. Upon submission of the affidavit, the county judge evaluates whether probable cause exists that a crime occurred within the jurisdiction. The judge possesses full authority to determine that claimed immunities cannot shield radical evil when it produces tangible victims inside the county. If probable cause is established, the judge signs the arrest warrant. This warrant carries statewide validity and activates standard extradition procedures, allowing Dr. Fauci to be arrested wherever located and returned to the county where the harm occurred for formal proceedings. The local victim thus functions as both the moral core and the jurisdictional foundation of the case against him. Evidence against Dr. Anthony Fauci in the public record. The public record provides extensive documentation of Dr. Anthony Fauci's central role in the COVID response. Video statements, press conferences, congressional testimony, and official guidance issued under his direction demonstrate his influence in shaping national policy on masking, lockdowns, treatment protocols, and vaccination mandates. These materials show consistent public advocacy for measures that were later enforced at the local level, including in schools and workplaces. The affidavit incorporates this evidence to establish the chain of command linking national guidance to local coercion and harm. Internal communications, email records, and testimony further reveal Dr. Fauci's involvement in coordinating institutional responses and addressing dissenting scientific views. The public archive includes instances where policies he supported were implemented locally, resulting in the specific harm to the victim in the jurisdiction. This evidence demonstrates foreseeability of consequences and conscious disregard for potential harms, satisfying elements of malice required for the imprescriptible offenses. The self-evident nature of the public record eliminates the need for covert investigation, allowing the local officer to build a robust case from openly available materials. This body of evidence directly supports the application of COVID treason through unconstitutional power centralization, COVID murder through foreseeable deaths and injuries from coercive policies, and COVID child abuse through medical interventions imposed on minors. The affidavit argues that Dr. Fauci's actions, as a key national figure, contributed to the environment in which local mandates produced criminal results. By anchoring the case in both the public record and the local victim, the prosecution creates a compelling factual foundation that withstands jurisdictional and evidentiary challenges. Challenging defense tactics and constitutional complications. Defense counsel raises multiple procedural and substantive objections that the prosecution must directly counter. Claims of lack of personal jurisdiction are met by the territorial nexus created through the local victim and the foreseeable consequences of national policies implemented locally. Failure of causation arguments are countered by demonstrating the chain of command, public advocacy, and conscious disregard for widespread harm that made the local injury a predictable outcome. PrEP Act preemption and immunity assertions are rejected because no statute can grant immunity for malum in esse offenses of treason, murder, or child abuse, particularly when the statute itself contains a willful misconduct exception and the immunities were pre-planned components of the criminal enterprise. Qualified immunity and sovereign immunity claims fail because the conduct falls outside legitimate official capacity when it involves radical evil and systematic violations of constitutional rights. The political question doctrine is inapplicable because the case concerns criminal prosecution for specific harms rather than abstract policy disagreements. Statute of limitations defenses are overcome by the imprescriptible status of the offenses. Selective prosecution arguments are rebutted by the objective public evidence and the multiplicity of potential cases across jurisdictions. Void for vagueness challenges are answered by the well-established definitions of underlying crimes and the descriptive application of the event-specific framework to unprecedented facts. Federal preemption claims yield to the higher constitutional imperatives against murder and child abuse. Each constitutional complication receives direct response through the concrete local harm and the self-evident public record. The Fourth Amendment is satisfied by the detailed probable cause affidavit. Due process requirements are met through full notice, counsel, and judicial proceedings. The Supremacy Clause does not protect criminal conduct, and separation of powers principles do not bar criminal prosecution of unlawful acts. The county court possesses full authority to adjudicate these defenses and rule on their merits, ensuring that technical immunities cannot permanently shield radical evil. Procedural flow, punishment, and strategic implications. Following issuance of the arrest warrant, law enforcement executes the warrant and secures Dr. Fauci's extradition to the originating county. The defendant appears before the county court for arraignment and formal proceedings. The court conducts the trial, whether through star chamber-style judicial affirmation of the public record or a traditional jury process. The self-evident nature of the evidence and the local victim's case provide a clear foundation for determination of guilt on the charges of COVID treason, COVID murder, and COVID child abuse. Upon conviction, the county court implements the reciprocal punishment framework. The shutdown phase orders complete asset forfeiture and professional disqualification. The lockdown phase maintains custody throughout asset recovery and sentencing. The full vaccination phase requires administration of the complete vaccine schedule previously imposed on the public, with mask mandates enforced during incarceration. These measures are executed at the county level, maintaining self-containment within the jurisdiction where the harm occurred. This county-level model creates a decentralized network of accountability. Multiple jurisdictions can pursue parallel cases using the shared public evidence base, multiplying pressure and building the responsibility ladder upward. The imprescriptible status of the offenses ensures the process remains perpetual. The framework treats the pre-planning of immunities as evidence of intent, further strengthening each prosecution. By anchoring accountability in local harm, the pathway restores the principle that justice flows from the communities that suffered. Conclusion: local courts could hold Dr. Fauci accountable for COVID policies. The local jurisdictional pathway offers a constitutionally grounded and operationally accessible route to accountability for Dr. Anthony Fauci. Through a documented local victim, dedicated law enforcement officers, and county judges willing to examine the full record and challenge abused immunities, the process initiates arrest warrants that reach prominent national figures. This mechanism directly confronts the pre-planned architecture of protections and forces the legal system to determine whether such shields can stand against malum in SE offenses. The pathway integrates seamlessly with the event-specific framework by treating COVID treason, COVID murder, and COVID child abuse as imprescriptible wrongs that transcend ordinary procedural barriers. Its decentralized nature generates multiple independent avenues for justice, each anchored in the suffering of specific communities. The public record of Dr. Fauci's statements, testimony, and guidance provides the common evidentiary foundation, while local harm supplies the jurisdictional anchor. Ultimately, this local approach reaffirms that no accumulation of statutes, precedents, or emergency declarations can permanently insulate radical evil from accountability. By beginning where the harm occurred and building upward through documented chains of responsibility, the framework delivers systematic justice that matches the scale and coordination of the offenses. The county-level pathway stands as a vital instrument for holding Dr. Anthony Fauci accountable and restoring constitutional order and moral balance in the aftermath of the COVID crimes.